Hey, how you doing? Great. I can't hear you. There you go.
Yeah. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you today?
Good, good, good,
Yeah,
good. Just
good,
sitting at the dining room
good.
table today.
Okay, well, thanks for joining in. We've had a few people that had last minute changes, as you know.
Yeah, I know. It's been like that around here too, all the
Yeah,
time.
all the time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start because
Cool.
it's 7:06 and you have, I have to respect your time as well. So, good deal.
Mike is sitting right there. He's right
Ah,
there on the couch.
okay. Well, wonderful. Okay. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for attending my free master class. This is How to Crush Your Cravings. And hopefully throughout this master class, you'll be able to get some tips and tricks and reasons why you may be having some cravings. So let's get on so I can share my screen. I'm going to put it on the slideshow. There we go. So again, welcome. As you know, with health, I believe that health is possible for every size, and you have to respect your body. So I'm not sure if you have your worksheets handy. I did send them on a thank you note, thank you
No, I
letter.
just have my regular paper.
Okay, that's fine. No problem. So we ask that you can turn off your cell phone and close any tabs that may interfere with your internet connection, and we'll go ahead and proceed. I will have the Q&A a little bit later, so if you have any questions, feel free to put them in, but then I'll probably just wait till the end of the masterclass so we can respect everybody's time. So it's time to crush your cravings. Have you experienced any boredom, anxiety, stress, lack of sleep, loneliness, anger, fear since the pandemic started? I know, me too. I think they're probably all of them get up there in the high emotions. But I wanted to let you know that your body is just naturally reacting to the COVID emotion. So you really should be blaming yourself, and you should have some of these feelings because it's such an unknown area, time. We don't have an end time. So our emotions do rise up and come out in different ways. So to remember too that stop blaming yourself. Yet food is not the only answer. So my big promise to you this evening is not about being upset by having those emotions, but it's about finding new and some permanent ways that you can identify them and transfer your emotions other than using food. So this masterclass is for you if you realize your cravings are getting a little out of control. You're tired of reaching food to satisfy your stress emotion. And maybe you're noticing your waistline getting a little whiter these days. And food becomes something that's always on your mind. If it does interfere with your daily activities, I just want to let you know that you may want to seek some appropriate care for those feelings because I don't want it to interfere with your life. And if you do have a diagnosis of eating disorders, it really needs to be treated by qualified physicians or psychotherapists. This masterclass is not for you if you think I'm going to offer a weight loss program. No way. And if you already have an eating disorder diagnosis. So these are a few quotes that I saw on the internet, and not to say that emotional eating is not a funny thing, it's very serious, but I thought you would enjoy listening to these like COVID remarks. Food has always been my frenemy, my best friend, and my worst enemy. It's Sara Lee, Ben and Jerry, and famous Andy, sadly, are my new best friends. Yahoo! And this one says, I can't stop overeating. Now that I'm in lockdown, I wish I had lockjaw. And I'm involved instead of many diverse activities at home throughout the day. There's snacking, grazing, munching, nibbling, noshing, chowing down, and sometimes even eating meals. So I thought those were funny, kind of funny. Start there. So throughout this program, well, let's see, okay, that's okay. Throughout this program, we're just going to talk about a healthy relationship with food, and it's all about skill power, and it's not willpower. Because when you say, I just need to have some more willpower, and that you hear that a lot when the women go on a weight loss program, because it's all about deprivation. But for me, with my background in nutrition, I want to show you the why and the how. Because when you know the why and the how, you don't need willpower. You just have the skills to manage them the way that you can personally. So we're going to go from mindless eating to mindful eating. We're going to know the what, the where, and the why, so you can crush your cravings. We're going to know the how, which you can start right immediately, and share with you how we can talk privately. And I have a free gift for you if you stay to the end of the masterclass, and we're going to do a Q&A. So my big promise again is the what. I want you to be curious. I want you to trust your body and where your emotions and cravings are coming from. I want you to look at why and have some self-compassion. It's not about dishing yourself or anything like that. We are in a very, very tough and unknown time. And with the how, I don't want you to have any judgment with you. So the most important thing is you are very important, and you need to think about that rather than how those emotions are bothering you. So who am I? You may not know, I have a Bachelor of Science in Food and Nutrition. I'm also a certified health and wellness coach. And I'm also a registered dietitian and personal stylist. And I have had over 25 years in clinical nutrition background. And I was a dietitian at an eating disorder hospital unit when we lived in Michigan. And I've also had my private practice about 6 years ago, 6 years. And now I'm combining the nutrition and the styling together so women can look and feel fabulous using food and fashion. I'm also an Amazon author. I have an ebook called Get Out of Sugar Jail. And my book is a paperback, and it's on Amazon as well. It's Build Your Confidence Through Wardrobe, Color, and Style. And a little bit about my personal experience. I wanted to let you know that I am a victim of emotional eating. It has carried me throughout most of my life. Since I was about 16 in high school, I go out partying with the friends or football games, and then I would come home and I'd be so anxious and felt terrible that I turned to food. And I could eat a half a loaf of bread in about 10 minutes. So I was using food to make me feel better. And then I would go to bed and I would feel terrible because I ate all that bread and carbs. So it was just a cycle. So I want to tell you that I've been there, and I want to share with you some of the journey that I have been on and the techniques and the reason why. So we're going to be curious now, and I'd like you to take out a piece of paper, and I'd like you to list. It's a brain dump. Don't think about it at all. I just want you to list, why do you eat? Okay? It could be a lot of different things, and then maybe when you experience the why you eat. For example, I eat because I'm stressed, and I'm usually stressed around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's an example. So if you could just think about those items, that would, we're going to use this exercise a little bit later as well. Okay. You could raise your hand and let me know that you've completed your list. Okay, very good. We'll move on. So again, the what is a part of being curious. And there are 4 categories of the umbrella of emotional eating. One is overeating. The second is cravings. The third is binge eating. And the fourth is the most serious one is emotional eating, even though it's kind of the umbrella of the rest of the 3 categories. So let's go ahead and talk about overeating. I want to let you know that overeating is a normal tendency for us to do that. So it's not anything full of shame or embarrassment or blame. And usually overeating is maybe an extra helping that when you're already full, you just decide that you want to eat just one more helping. And that's when you start feeling stuffed. And you may be thinking, oh my gosh, it's Thanksgiving, when you're sitting at the table or on the couch watching football and you barely can not move. You know, you're just overate. And but yet you see that pumpkin pie or apple pie or a dessert on the table, you go, oh, I'll just have a little bit. You know, that's okay, even though you're completely full. And I wanted to give you a quote by, these are 2 dietitians, Evelyn Tribole and Elise Reich. And they say, when an unbalanced lifestyle occurs with too many responsibilities and too many obligations, combined with so little time for pleasure and relaxation, that food does become that easy fix to indulge, escape, and ignore, which is overeating. That becomes a red flag. So our body has an internal mechanism to tell us when we experience that neutral eating. So you're not under eating, you're not overeating, you just feel satisfied. Okay, let's go on to the next category in the what and be curious, are cravings. Cravings could be you have a taste in your mouth, like, oh, really have a taste for chocolate. It could be the temperature. I really, really want something cold. So you look in the refrigerator, you go to the freezer, something cold. And it could be a texture, like I just have to have something crunchy. That's me. That's where my hunger comes from and cravings. I have to have something crunchy. And then you go, oh, I just wonder, you know, I'm kind of thinking I have a craving. I just not quite sure. And something looks or feels or sees very tempting. But with a craving, you're usually looking for just one food. And if it doesn't satisfy your taste buds or your hunger, this can lead to binge eating. So with cravings, you're usually looking for just one food. So I did a poll a couple of months ago, and I wanted to know what their top food craving was. So I got 9 responses, and the biggest craving was sweets. The next one was more specifically, and that was chocolate. And then the other pieces of the pie were we have alcohol. Um, Someone said just other. There's one category that was sweet, savory, and they love cheese. One said it has to be Coke. I'm addicted to Coke. And one lady said, oh, you know what? If I have cravings, I have to have eggs. And so that was the first time I had heard of a food craving for eggs. She goes, yeah, it's been many years. I said, how many dozens do you buy? She goes, well, I buy about 2 dozen a week. So I don't know, she just has that taste that she needs to have, the iron and the biotin or something. So let's go on to binge eating. So binge eating is when you eat a large amount of food in a short amount of time. You're feeling quite stuffed. You have binge eating more than once a week, and it usually lasts about consecutively for the 3 months. So you may be experiencing more of the binge eating versus the cravings during COVID, which is all natural because we have such a mix of emotions. But I just wanted to let you know that once you have a binge eating episode for more than once a week and it's really consecutively for 3 months, you may want to address that with your physician. And again, the binge eating is no specific type of food. And with binge eating, you can secretly eat. That's with me. I secretly eat. I go to the car and I eat a bag of candy and I come back and I'm fine. So, you know, this is the way of the world. So don't feel too bad. It does lead to more of a larger diagnosis of emotional eating. So emotional eating is you can have good and not so good memories. Emotional eatings are happy. It can be fun and have great memories, such as a birthday party or an anniversary or someone else's reunion or your mom or dad's birthday. So emotional eating can be happy and fun. But the negative emotions is that you're eating for other reasons and not happiness. You have a recurrent and you almost have an unconscious eating. Like all of a sudden you're looking at your bag of chips and you go, how did I eat that bag of chips? I can't believe I did that. Can't believe I ate the whole thing. And it saves an emotional void. There's usually some type of distraction that you need to satisfy, but maybe you don't know what that distraction is. And some of it could be stress, some sadness, could be frustration, anxiety, fear, isolation, boredom, might be some financial stress, or even relationships, because they all can take a toll on your body to the point where you just don't feel good about yourself. So I wanted to tell you more about the what. There's 2 types of hunger. The physical or the primal hunger, or you can have an emotional heart or environmental hunger. You're going, what is an environmental hunger? The hunger's inside me, so how can I feel an environmental hunger? Well, a physical primal hunger is that it comes on quite slowly. You may feel it in your belly, and usually you can wait. It's not something that just comes on very suddenly. And you're open to different options of food. It's not like you're craving one additional food, and many foods will sound good to you. And you usually stop when you're feeling full, and you just eat to satisfy your primal hunger. So that's when food becomes only for nourishment, and you are in control. And that's how babies, satisfy their hunger. is that they'll take either the bottle or the breast, and when they're done, they'll push it away. And so they know exactly where they're feeling full and they are in control. So the emotional, the heart, or the environmental hunger comes on very suddenly. I don't know if anybody feels that, but all of a sudden you go, oh my God, I've got to have something to eat. And it feels like it needs to be just satisfied instantly. And you might crave some specific food. And when you're not satisfied, but yet you have a full stomach, you're going, I don't know, this certainly did not make me full, or I feel the same thing. And it does trigger the feelings of guilt and shame. And you're unfortunately out of control and you feel powerless because you ate a large amount of food, but yet you still have that emotional feeling that is in your heart. So, where do you feel that physical primal hunger? Your stomach. And that's the main area where you have that primal hunger. And the only reason you need to eat is for nourishment. And you may feel these hunger pangs. You may feel a growling or hear a growling, a rumbling. You may have a headache. You may feel lightheaded. Maybe your blood sugar is low or your mood changes. You can get cranky. You can get angry. You can kind of get subdued. And you've probably eaten more than 4 hours from the last meal. So if you like, you can put something in the chat, or how do you feel, what goes on in your body that you're experiencing some stomach hunger? Is it the pain, the growling? Is it a headache? Is it you're lightheaded? Is your blood sugar low? Or does your mood change? My mood changes. I get angry and cranky. And maybe if you've just eaten more than 4 hours and it is time to eat. Okay. So let's go on to heart hunger. That's the emotional or the environmental hunger. And it's definitely not physical, but you are compensating for a certain emotion and you want to solve that emotional need, but somehow it just isn't satisfying you. So it becomes a learned behavior and you can feel lonely, you can feel isolated, you feel like you need to find some food for comfort. You might be bored, you might be empty inside, or there's a lot of stress, maybe financial, or you can't go back to work, or the kids are home all the time. This adds a lot. So, what are the emotions that you are specifically feeling that you may be more of the emotional or environmental hunger? Any of those look familiar to you and why you're having some of those emotional eating? Okay, go on the next one. So where do you feel that emotional environmental hunger? That's when your senses are on alert. You may have a mouth hunger, like got to have something, got to chew something, or something just tastes good. I have a lot of mouth hunger, especially after I eat. Or you may be standing in the fridge or the freezer or the pantry like this young lady does. Like, there's a whole lot of food in there and nothing sounds good. Or everything sounds good. And this poor dog next to her, I think he's saying, oh no, she's at it again. Here she goes. Like I said, you may be smacking your lips, or sometimes you have more saliva that's released. You have a taste for something, but you're not quite sure what it is. And you're going to feel that texture come on. I need to find something crunchy, smooth, or chewy. And again, this is like a baby. A baby has that mouth hunger and will need some more nourishment. So there's another sense that causes those emotional environmental hunger. It's outside your body, and it's the smell of food that you can get hungry. I don't know, we used to go to restaurants where you'd see some food and it smells so good, and so you'd ask the waiter, what are they eating? You know, it's everything smells so good. I think I'll try that. And then there's the eyesight hunger, where you're just looking at the clock and say, well, it's noon. I think I'm hungry. I should eat. Or it may be that you're looking at the clock and you're saying, oh my God, I haven't eaten all day long. I really need to go eat. So then you eat and then you overeat and then you feel stuffed and then you feel blame and then you feel shame. So it's a terrible cycle to get in, but it is very easy to get into. And then also we look at TV, we've got magazines, we've got social media, we're on our phone, and food is just about everywhere. So that is kind of tough when you're trying not to eat and you really are not eating for a physical satisfaction. So I'd like to have you go back to your exercise that you did, and I'd like you to kind of title those. Is it um, your mouth hunger, you think? Or is it a stomach hunger? Or is it a nose hunger? Or is it your eyes that play the tricks on you that you're hungry? So it's either an S for stomach, M for mouth, N for nose, or E because you see it and you're hungry. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to see where your list comes from, because then you can start identifying some of those emotions um, that may be overtaking your eating. Okay? Let me know if you've completed your list. Okay? Great. Okay, well, we'll move on, because when we go back to the Q&A, we'll talk about this list. And this is all about self-compassion. You need to be compassionate for yourself. And the other why I want to tell you about is self-compassion as well. But when you begin to eat your feelings, i.e. emotional eating, there are some physical health consequences that I want you to be aware of. You may not feel it short term, but long term, there is some physical health consequences. One is the most popular and most common, that's weight gain, just because of what you're eating, lack of activity. It could be just not going out, you know, just so many things, because you're really tied to our home. So we might be like 20 feet from a pantry, 20 feet from a freezer or a refrigerator. And you may be having extra salty food, so that could cause a high blood pressure. Or maybe you have type 2 diabetes that becomes over controlled or under controlled. You may be experiencing some high cholesterol now due to some high fat, high calorie foods. And you may be having some digestive issues, the bloating. There may be some gas. There may be constipation, because your body's just not used to eating the type of food and the frequency of the food. And it could lead to poor sleep. And poor sleep really is a turning wheel for so many illnesses. Most everyone who's a doctor, physical, who's in health say you have to have at least 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep for your body to rejuvenate. So the other part of the why of emotional eating is how it takes a toll on your mental health. And I wanted to show you this next slide. It's by Dr. Ogden, Minton, and Pang in year 2000. It's a little crazy of a slide, but hopefully you'll find it to be beneficial for you to see. Okay, they called it the window of tolerance. As you can see, the middle line, it says a goal, and you've got the up and down, and that's where you're kind of at the optimal zone, where you're satisfied with your food, you can handle your emotions, you can control your cravings, you feel calm, you're grounded. That's where the goal of your physical and mental health should be. But yet, if you have episodes of panic, or you might be agitated, you're on hyper alert, you might be angry, because of you're having some decreased focus, and your cravings are very out of control. And it might be that you're waking up and having some late night snacking. And this is when your body and your mind is in hyper arousal. And it's the same as if you're in a flight or fight episode. And when that happens, the hormone cortisol gets released. And cortisol is the storage hormone for insulin. So when it's constantly fight or flight under stress, the body thinks it has an emergency. So it's all about releasing a lot of hormones, but the most common one regarding weight is the cortisol. And like I said, cortisol is a hormone that is a storage hormone. So let's look at the bottom part, and this is called hypoarousal, where it's kind of the frozen part of your body. And I described it as you might be having an avoidance. You may be having that numbing, like, oh my gosh, I ate so much, I'm just kind of zoned out. You could feel very isolated. You could feel very depressed. Your cravings certainly are out of control, and you feel shame or guilt. And this one is hard to get out of. So that's why I wanted to let you know that if we could raise those emotions up into that optimal zone, you will feel better, your body will feel better, and so will your mental health. So here are two examples of some celebrities. We all know Taylor Swift. You know, back in 2019, she finally let the world know that she battles with restrictive eating. And her relationship with food was exactly the same psychology, she said, that she applied to everything in her life. If she was given a pat on the back, she thought that was great. If she was given a punishment when she was younger or didn't do well dancing or singing, she registered that as bad. So she had the good bad philosophy. And when she felt bad, she restricted her eating. And she didn't really realize at the time that she wasn't meant to feel fatigued after she performed. And she just thought that she was supposed to feel like she was going to pass out at the end of the show or in the middle of it, because she had to perform. And she probably performed more than she ate to balance her energy mood. And she said that she now realizes that she eats food, she will have more energy, and it gets stronger. So she can do all the shows that she wants to and still feel great before, in the middle, and after her performance. Take one other one, because we all know Paula Abdul. She's a dancer, she's a choreographer, and she's battled with bulimia. So she was the opposite end of disordered eating. Bulimia, if you're not sure what that is that you're eating a lot of food, you're emotionally eating, you're almost numb, and you put your two fingers in your throat, and you throw up and vomit. And she's vomiting not only her food, but she was trying to vomit her negative emotions. So she said she checked herself in a clinic back in 1994. And she also said that her negative image came when she was just 7 years old. And it didn't manifest until she was a full-blown eating disorder, until she was actually in high school. So with all of her journey with bulimia and probably restrictive eating, she has become the spokesperson, for the National Eating Disorders Association. And she courageously speaks out to encourage young women to, when they know that they have a problem, to tell someone and make sure that you get medical help. She says it's one of the toughest things to talk about, but it's the hardest disorder to deal with because it's not a black or white disease. It's about nothing to do with food, but it's all about feelings. You can see that these are two celebrities that you would never know that they probably suffered from a manifested eating disorder. So we're pretty much at the end of the master class. I just wanted to let you know that as a recap, we realized some negative emotions. And these negative emotions really aren't serving your body or your mindset. And food is not always the answer. And it's all about skill power, not willpower. To forget the guilt, the shame, and the embarrassment. And sometimes it's really hard. But if you've got the why, which I had talked to you about, discussed, and the what, or all of those feelings and manifestations and physical and emotional reasons why you have hunger, that's all part of skills that you learn. And if you just wait a little bit while, I just want you to stick with me. We're going to talk a little bit about the how and go a little bit deeper into emotional eating. And like I said, I do have a free gift for you. So I'll be sending that to you via your email. And we'll be going over the Q&A questions or anything that has come up throughout the masterclass. So again, we talked about skill and not willpower. We had the why and when I eat. The what was the 4 categories. The where was in your body that you feel. And the why, when feeding your emotions, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. And you have the mental health and consequences. So I really like to stop the sharing now and kind of go over that list and see what you have come up with. So I'm going to stop the sharing. Okay. And let's see, go to the chat. This is all very new for me, so bear with me, figuring out the chat and the screen sharing. Okay. Christine said she ordered the book, Intuitive Eating. It's out for delivery. Oh, you got the brand new book. That's amazing. Yeah, really good. Have you read any of her other books?
No, it just literally, my friend told me about it last week. Literally, Mike just gave it to me.
Oh my gosh, how wonderful. Yeah, yeah.
I'm excited to read it. My friend's been talking about it for 2 weeks.
Okay, well, good. Maybe she can help you. There's a lot of good principles in there. And I've been studying intuitive eating, and hopefully I can become a counselor for that. But it's a long process. Yeah.
I'll be your guinea pig.
Yeah, yeah. They require a lot of time. Okay. And she said, definitely a headache and cranky. You get bored and compensate for your emotional need. Okay. Well, that's good. So you know when you're physically hungry. So that's good. You have a headache and you feel cranky just like me. Okay. And then those emotional needs come out when you're bored or you're trying to compensate. Okay. So that's good. For both of them, do you know usually when that occurs?
Not necessarily. I guess I should think that through a little bit more and maybe keep a list of when
Mm-hmm.
the different ones kick in and see if I can find a pattern.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Define.
like
Okay.
anything, growing up Italian and Latin, you're happy, you eat. You're sad, you eat. You're bored, you eat. You like, you're cleaning up breakfast. What's for lunch? And it's
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. It's a never ending. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. And that's tough. I can just understand some of those emotions that you have for food. How about you, Alice? You need to unmute. Can you unmute your line?
she's so cute.
There you are. How you doing?
Good,
Good.
thank
Did you
you.
get a chance to make your list of why you eat and when?
Well, it appears as though I'm an emotional eater. Um, because, when I'm bored or at night, I find myself snacking a lot at night. So
Okay.
I think that's a source of comfort.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And, before I go to bed. And I just, I love the taste of food. I like different, I just, I guess I could be a foodie because I really love the taste of food. But yeah, but
Uh-huh.
I notice at about like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when I really get, I don't know if my blood sugar drops or because I feel as though I'm kind of like, it's time to eat. I gotta eat. I gotta
Uh-huh.
eat. I gotta get something. I don't really feel, that comfortable in going on without getting something,
Uh-huh.
something to eat at 2. But then
Okay.
it really starts because I don't eat a big breakfast. I eat a very, very small breakfast. But then at 2 o'clock, it says, okay, it's time.
Okay. So a couple of
So
things
this is,
from what you said is that you have the light breakfast, so you may not be eating enough to carry your body and your activities. So all of a sudden you are experiencing some low blood sugar. And then about that time, it's 2 o'clock, that you're really getting into that, I'm hungry, I better eat quick, the instantaneous things. And sometimes we can overeat because we're overcompensating for the time.
mm,
Okay. So one thing you might do, which I know you probably do, is have a little bit more protein in your breakfast because protein's slower digestion and
mm,
a good fat. And kind of track to see how many hours is between when you do have your breakfast until that 2 o'clock time. Because once it gets to be more 4 hours or more, that is something that you're probably experiencing some primal hunger.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's good. So I'm glad. Thank you so much, both of you. We've all got the same things going on, whether it's our emotions or time or food or taste or tongue. So yeah, we mostly, from all of us, we feel like we're having the mouth hunger. It's that taste versus what's going on in our belly. Okay, so let me get back to the screen. Thank you so much for both, sharing that. Okay, so now I'd like to talk about the how. And I have kind of umbrellaed them like mindful eating. And Christine, you'll probably hear as you read that book, that's going to be a theme throughout the book, not only intuitive, but it's mindful eating.
Okay.
Okay? And I wanted to give you 2 strategies tonight to bridge the gap from the mindless eating to the mindful eating. Okay, so under mindful eating, the first strategy I'd like you to consider is what Christine said. Log your emotions. Could be in your phone, could be in a small tablet, could be on a clipboard, or some of my clients would use a bulletin board, you know, and tape their emotions down. And I'd like you to do it for about 7 days, okay? And the items that I'd like you to list, and you can make columns, which is easy, the time when you eat, okay? Exactly what you're eating, and the why you are eating. And that's one of the reasons why that's why I had you do that why I eat, because we do get a little bit mixed up. Like, okay, I'm stressed and I'm bored and I'm isolated, you know, so if you can kind of start thinking about that, and it takes a little bit of mindfulness to pause and say, why am I eating? And you might be looking at the clock and seeing, okay, well, I ate it at 11 and it's 5 o'clock. So I could be having physical hunger because of the time frame. And this, by the end of the 7 days, you are going to see what you're eating, why you're eating, and when you are eating. Just kind of get a common thread to how you can take those emotions and see if we can sort them out and find some strategies other than using food. So here's a doctor. Excuse me, I'm really thirsty. She wrote a book, Eat Your Love, Love What You Eat. And she says that one very simple and practical way to think about mindful eating is with intention and attention. So when you're eating with the intention of feeling better when you're finished more than what you did when you started, that's intention. And with the attention necessary to notice food and how it affects your body and your mind. So hopefully that journal that you're going to be doing for 7 days will really enlighten you to know where your attention is and what your intention was for that food and to solve that emotion. And the second one is boredom. This is the most common emotion that we're seeing now more than ever. We just cannot get out of the house. And it is tough. This poor gal, I mean, she's stuffed, I don't know what she's got in her, Chick's Mix or something, and she's just out of it. She's totally numbed out. And what I'd like for you to do, these are some strategies, is that when you know you're bored, you're kind of going around the house, not doing anything, you're wasting some time, try to find something that you can enjoy. And what I'd like you to do is something that uses your hands. Because when you are using your hands in an activity, you have usually a beginning and you have an end, and you're not using your hands to eat. So that gesture of picking up food, putting it in your mouth has changed. And some of the ideas that you can think of, a whole lot of them, is knitting or scrapbooking, even the reading, going out for gardening, cooking, and looking at your Kindle for something. And we'd like you, maybe you might want to do your daily gratitude list. Bring it out and look at it and post it. So when you're looking at going toward the refrigerator, you've got your daily gratitude, and you may be having your I am statements. And so it switches your mind from, you know, I really don't need to eat. I need to find something else to do with my hands and my body. And maybe engage fun. I know Alice loves to dance. And I think Christine dances, don't you, Christine? Uh-huh. Okay. So YouTube, um, whatever you can find your music. And some of my clients started doing a virtual picnic where you get your buddies together and you say, okay, dinner, 5 o'clock, bring your food and we'll have a virtual picnic. And it's lots of fun and you find it very satisfying. And also you just call that friend. If you're bored, maybe that friend is bored too. Or maybe she's feeling down and maybe she's feeling isolated because we're all going through the same emotion. Like I said, you can also pick a book up, YouTube, but I would encourage you to avoid binge watching Netflix because that is very easy to find your food, right? You're sitting on the couch and all of a sudden you're watching 3 hours, it might be a movie, and you've eaten, tub of Ben and Jerry's or a bag of barbecue chips, just something. So that's strategy number, 2, which is boredom, and then also the logging your emotions. So these are action steps that you can do immediately. It's not something that you have to go look up in a book or do any research. These are things that you can immediately do, even before you go to bed tonight, if you're having that, maybe the emotional eating experiences. So what I'd like to offer you is that, and I know that each of you have your own particular craving, and because not everybody has the same cravings and strategies to get that. So what I want to offer you is just a one-on-one conversation. It's a private conversation for 45 minutes, and we can help you with looking at your specific craving so we can make a specific recommendation for you. These are 2 great universal strategies which really help a lot of people and probably will help you. It helps me, but yet you may have some other emotions and needs that these cravings that I talked about need some more attention. So this is why I am inviting you to have a free session with me. It's 45 minutes, and we'll really kind of go deep in figuring out what we can do to help you. So here's the link. You can see if I can copy and paste that. Let's see. No, what it's going to do. It may not do anything. Oh, okay. So it's this link, and I will go ahead and I'll put it in the chat. Okay, so feel free to do that. I'm doing all day Wednesday and all day Thursday, so I'm available for you. I am so passionate about that because I am an emotional eater, and I know how difficult it's been these couple of months. So if we can put our heads together and find something and be more accountable to each other, I think that would help all of us. Okay, so let's go back to sharing the screen. I have a little bit more to talk about, but hang with me. Okay, let's see how I can get back. Stop the share. Back to share the screen. There we go. Whew. This is all very new to me. Okay, so I'm going to start that. Okay, see if I can scroll all the way down. Let's start from the beginning, not go so fast. Okay, okay, there you go. So my thank you gift to you is I'm going to be sending you a list of nutritious foods that you can always have on hand when you can't leave your home for an extended length of time. So these are easy items, they're staple items, yet they're very nutritious that will stay in your pantry or your freezer. And this could be used year round when we had that ice storm, or when you never know how this pandemic is going to be turning out, and food may be getting scarce again. So if you have these list of nutritious foods that you might have in your home, you'll still keep your nutrition up. You'll still keep your appetite and avoid any binge eating. And my last slide is, this is by June Tomaso Wood. And she says, don't let your mind bully your body, which I thought that is very, very easy to do. So I'm gonna stop the share. Okay, I'm gonna